Like, the video that blew this entire platform up was when I talked about the death of rec league and how the death
Yeah,
of rec league around this country is going to be one of the worst things we do for our kids, both socially and athletically as well. And some of the comments on that was that rec league's not going anywhere. Like, rec league hasn't gotten too expensive. Like, if you can't afford $100, then what's going on? Blah, like all these things. They don't realize that it's not just the registration fee. It's also the gear. Every kid in T-ball has to have their own helmet and their own bat now, and every
right.
kid, like, what all those things. That inequity is I know from even reading about you before we started talking, is one of the things that is in your heart that you want to help. Can
Yeah.
you I got a couple questions on that front.
Yeah, yeah.
To set the foundation, how big of a problem is the inequality in youth sports, and why is it an issue in your mind?
Yeah, it's a huge inequality. The playing field's not level, right? Youth ages 6 through 18 from low income homes quit sports because of financial costs at 6 times the rate of kids from their more affluent peers, right? Um, Kids in low income neighborhoods participate at half the rate of their more affluent peers. They start later, they drop out earlier. So we know that it's just not as easy for them, right? If we know that youth sports can be this unbelievable opportunity and not everybody can get to it, we need to figure out how to remove those barriers so more kids can get to it, right? And I think that starts with like the youngest age, the pipeline, right? And I'm not even we can get to the whole elite pay to play model because I think that's where everybody starts to go. But I'm talking about, the local communities where kids either they don't feel safe of where they're going or their parents aren't around because they're working and so they're lacking a caregiver or a parent to be able to get them somewhere. There are many factors that show the inequities of access to sports. Um, so that's one of the things that we're working to do in local communities is figuring out what are the issues here? How can we combat those issues? And how can we bring tangible tools and resources to make that happen, right? And a quick story, we talked about Oakland earlier, but in Oakland, one of our, coalitions, the work we were doing is why is a child in Oakland, why is their youth sports experience different than other communities? And one of the things we saw is that kids couldn't play sports at no cost until they got to middle school. And so you think about it, middle school, like that is such a crazy time for kids, right? They're not just going to show up and try something new, right? Like, they're not just going to be like, oh, sure, I'll go out for the basketball team. I'll try
I'll go
something
set
new.
myself up to get embarrassed in front of my friends at the time when I'm the most insecure of my entire life. Let's go do that.
Yeah, let's do that, right? So what we saw was we got the right people around the table, helped facilitate conversations, worked alongside community partners, and the amazing work of Oakland Unified School District. They started an elementary sports league. So now that created like 3,000 more new youth sports opportunities for kids in Oakland. So now they're sports sampling, they're trying a lot of different sports at a young age. So we're starting that pipeline a lot earlier. And then they're getting to play the sport, they're learning more, they're connecting. One of my favorite things that came out of some of the research we did, parents said that they felt more connected to their community because of this youth sports league, right? And that's what I mean, I think that's what's changing here in our country. You think about where communities gather. Right now, they gather at the sports fields, right? Weeknights, they're at the sports fields. On the weekends, that's where they are. That's where people are gathering, like, so we need to recognize that this is a community building experience. And, you know, I think right now of everything that we're dealing with in our country, youth sports could be one of the last things that potentially brings people together from different communities. So we need to make sure that we are keeping it or ensuring that it is a experience where everyone feels welcome and it's inclusive and it's accessible to everyone. So that's why we want to work with community partners, whether that's, removing barriers, helping set up leagues. A league can't exist if there aren't coaches. So can we recruit coaches and train them to provide that youth sports experience. But we just need to make sure that the kids have access to it, and it's close to them and it's accessible to them, and they see people that look like them when they're participating. So there's a lot of different things that go into that, but it really does take the entire community to step in.